Bruchim aboyim, everyone, to our podcast. My brother Shlomo Meir, myself Nesanel, our podcast, Eretz Chemdah, the desired land. And bezras HaShem, we hope to cover all from Dan ad Beersheva. But for now, we're going to focus on Yerushalaim.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure to be here. Eretz Chemdah, the desired land. Bezras HaShem, a new series where we'll discuss all about visiting and touring Eretz Yisrael. Enjoy.
Okay, so we're just a week or so before Tisha B'av. We're in the 3 weeks, and everyone's trying to focus and appreciate and understand Yerushalaim. So tell us, Meir, you've given probably thousands of tours of Yerushalaim, and I'm sure many of your tours focus on the beauty of Yerushalaim and Yerushalayim being rebuilt, but let's focus for a minute on the Churban. Take us somewhere that you can point to us and show. Zu Churban. Here's the destruction. Here we can see Yerushalayim, the Churban. Here we can learn about the Churban Yerushalayim.
Okay, wow. Thank you for having me. It's great. Nesanel, as you mentioned, we are both tour guides. I've certainly shown, I would say thousands of people all around Yerushalayim, and so have you. And yet, there are sites till today in Yerushalayim where you can actually pinpoint the Churban. The first one that obviously comes to mind is just looking at the bais. Walking down Yerushalayim. Yeah, Yerushalayim is built. Correct, Yerushalayim is built. We are sitting here in a beautiful apartment in Yerushalayim. You walk from here to the old city, and the Yerushalayim is built. But as the Ramban writes in his famous letter, the more the Kedusha, the more the Churban. As you get closer to the old city, all of a sudden it's not so built. When I say built,
There's more Arabs.
Built Yerushalayim, I always tell people on tours, Yerushalayim being built is seeing Yidden living in Yerushalayim, seeing kosher restaurants, seeing Hebrew writing, seeing Jews talking Hebrew, shuls, or just Jewish children playing in the park in Yerushalayim. That is binyan Yerushalayim.
And we see a lot of that.
And you see that. But as you get closer to the Kedusha, closer to the old city, closer to the Ir HaMekudeshet, closer to the holiest point, the Churban hits you more and more. And all of a sudden you see, unfortunately, most of the old city today, we do not see young Jewish children playing in the streets.
Is that right? Majority of the Ir HaTikah today is not Jewish?
We look at the Ottoman walls. If we look at Yerushalayim, let's just say the borders of Yerushalayim, the second bais hamikdash, which ran from Gei Ben Hinnom, including what we call today Ir David, Har Zion, the Jewish, Armenian, Muslim quarters, all the way up to what's called the Chumash Lishit, the third wall, which is the edges of Mea Shearim.
Pretty much the walls of Yerushalayim.
More or less, the Ottoman
we
walls.
understand they're Ottomans, but pretty much we'll call it
more or
the
less
old city.
that region today. Unfortunately, yes, parts of it have, and that's amazing, and it's incredible and so important to see and to notice it, and it's growing every day. But unfortunately, where we stand today, 1,956 Tisha B'av since that dreadful Churban by Hasheni, most of the area surrounding the bais hamikdash, most of Yerushalayim, the old city, the Mekudeshet, unfortunately, does not have young children waking up in the morning and going to Cheder or going to a Jewish school or playing on the streets.
Was that, just to break right there, was that the situation since the Churban? Since Tisha B'av, the year 70, Churban by Hasheni, has the old city of Yerushalayim never had a Jewish majority?
Okay, you bring up something very important. And today, most researchers believe that there was a period,
Really?
several decades towards the end of the 19th century, when most of Yerushalayim was Jewish. We know this from Ottoman census, and we know this from other historical records.
You mean like 1860s,
1870s, 1880s, 1890s, the period between the late 1800s to late 19th century leading to World War I. We know that most of Yerushalayim was a city that had a Jewish majority.
Wow.
I wouldn't say until 1860s, like Yerushalayim was only the old city. Unfortunately, World War I struck Yerushalayim very difficult. And unfortunately, under the British, and unfortunately, of course, under the Jordanian rule between 48 and 67, the old city today no longer has a Jewish majority. It's growing all the time. I would almost say, this I'll say for everyone to realize, if we look at Yerushalaim HaMekudeshes, the holy part of Yerushalaim from the time of the first bais hamikdash, which today we know includes
Or the southern side.
the southern side, includes the Jewish quarter, Armenian quarter, Ir David, and Har Zion. There, I would hesitantly say we probably do have a Jewish majority. I think that's something very special.
Wow.
I think that is something very special. But let's just look at the area surrounding the gates of Har HaBayis. We know today there are 8 gates that lead into Har HaBayis. Obviously, they're later period gates, but almost all of them, except for one of them, lead through, unfortunately, neighborhoods that
The Arab quarter.
it's hard to call built Yerushalayim when we say Yerushalayim is being built. And they asked a famous Israeli singer. They asked her, "How do you say Yerushalayim is destroyed? Yerushalayim is fully built." And she answered, "To me, Yerushalayim is built, like we're saying, is when there's Yidden in Yerushalayim, the Jewish people in Yerushalayim." And she's saying about Yerushalayim being destroyed, even though before 1967 she was singing about Yerushalayim being destroyed, even though there was a flourishing Jordanian city there. But for us, that's of course destruction. That's destroyed. And as you get closer to the old city, you see the destruction. You see also physical destruction. It's less well kept. It's less well maintained. And of course, the Har HaBayit itself, the Har HaBayis, Har HaMoriah, the Mokum HaMikdash. The Golden Dome is, and I could say it on this podcast, it's a beautiful structure. It's not a Mokum Avodah Zarah. It's the site of the Beis Hamikdash, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying it's a beautiful structure. I think it's a lot better than having other structures there, but that's Churban. When we walk in Yerushalayim, and we hear other sounds, we don't hear the Levim singing the Shira. When we don't hear... That's Churban. That's Churban. When we don't smell the keteris, when we don't see Kohanim running to bring the Talmud, that's a Churban. And it's been like that now to think that the structures on the Har HaBayit themselves have been there for longer than both bais hamikdash stood for. The Al-Aqsa Mosque was built in the 7th century. That's over 1,300 years ago. The two bais hamikdash together stood for less than 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Almost a scary thought.
Very.
We think about the Beis Hamikdash. The actually Al-Aqsa Mosque now has been there, and the Golden Dome, longer than both Beis Hamikdash.
That's Churban. And when you walk around the walls of the Har HaBayis, and anyone could do it, you could get to the southern wall, you could get to the southern parts of the western wall, you could get to the eastern wall, and you could get through what they call the Kaisel tunnels, the western wall tunnels, and you can see destruction. Everywhere you look, there's stones from the Beis Hamikdash, stones from the Har HaBayis that are still lying there. They were thrown down by Titus and Vespasian and probably Hadrian.
Referring to the southern wall excavations.
In the southern wall excavations, you can see it.
Correct.
And in the eastern wall, you can see it. Anyone who walks, and if someone takes a bus to the old city, take the 1 or the 3 bus, they call it today, you can see that that surrounding the eastern wall of Har HaBayis is just mounds and mounds of debris.
Right, with an Arab cemetery.
On top of it, correct. And archaeological, Guy Barkai told me, Guy Barkai was one of the greatest archaeologists who really understood Yerushalayim, and I had the privilege to learn by him, and he just passed away this year in the Shlomo Meir Nesanel Eisenman. And he told me that he said in different archaeological surveys he did, at different times, on the eastern slope of Har HaMoriah, basically the slope coming down from Har HaBayis towards Har HaZeisim.
Just so everyone understands, when you take the bus to the Kotel, you go around Shar Shechem, and then the bus makes a right. That's Nachal Kidron.
Correct.
And the bus goes all the way down that long street. On your left is Har HaZeisim, and on your right is the eastern slope, the eastern gate, what people call today Shar HaRachamim. All that is an Arab cemetery, and you can actually walk around there. Anyone can do it. It's open and no one bother you.
Thank God
You see the eastern wall of Har HaBayis and the old city together.
Correct. And if you stand in Har HaZeisim, you see it. Anyone, I was there twice this week with different tours, and you can see it very clearly. You can see that there's mounds of debris, and that.
I mean, the Arab cemetery over there sits on mounds and mounds of debris. Could be from the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah, I would take out the words could be.
Wow.
Stone doesn't burn. You have to understand, stone does not burn. The Beis Hamikdash was made of stone. The walls of Har HaBayis were made of stone. Stone does not burn. And we don't see that stone today. We know that the walls of the Harabais were tens of feet higher than they are today. The Mishnah in Midas and the Mishnah in Para talks about how they had to lower the eastern wall to allow the Kohen, Seirif as Apara, to look in. Today you can look in from any of the walls. It's clear that the other walls are much higher. Stone doesn't...
And the base of hamikdash itself was a pretty impressive big building.
It's way higher than the Golden Dome we see today.
Where are all those stones?
Stone does not disappear. Stone does not disappear, and some were taken for other structures, and those structures are there, and some were moved around, but the stones are there, and the pillars are there, and the ruins are there, and it's all sitting there. And and you can see it, and you can feel it, and you can touch it, and it's an incredible thing. I went to another point. Anyone who has come to Turvir David, and you've seen what they call the Givati parking lot excavations, this huge parking lot, which at one point was the parking lot for the Kotel. And they have come down now about 20 feet, and they're reaching the layer from the time of the Churban bais Rishon, and you can see signs of fires there from Churban bais Rishon when the city was burned. The Psukim in the end of Melachim tell us that the city of Yerushalaim was burned by the Churban, that first Tisha B'av, almost 2,700 years ago, 2,600 years ago.
But that's not open to the public yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But it will be.
So you're saying the best place, if a person wants to really feel the Churban, you're saying just simply looking at Harabais. Look at the Golden Dome. Look at
Harabais. Look at Harabais. Look at the Al-Aqsa, and take a walk. Take a walk around the walls of Harabais.
Where should I walk? Tell me where to walk.
The Southern Wall excavations.
Southern Wall excavations.
Starter number 1.
Davidson Center.
The entrance is right near the Kotel. Take a walk around the Eastern Wall. Take a walk around the Eastern Wall. Some people are concerned. There's great tour guides that can do it. To take a walk, to see it.
Feel it. Sivuv Sharim.
Go up to Har HaZeisim. Har HaZeisim, people may not be aware, is in the past there were security issues. Today, Baruch HaShem, and it should only continue. There are very few security issues there. Drive up, take a cab up, take the 84 bus, get to the top of Har HaZeisim, and just look down, and you're looking at the Churban. And
just think for 1 minute that these buildings that you're looking at, the Golden Dome and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, have been there longer than our base of hamikdash. That's an incredible thought.
And
painful thought.
A painful thought, but I want to add something very important. And with your permission, maybe an idea I had over Shabbos. Everyone knows the Tosefta and the Gemara in Tainis tells us, based on a pasuk in Yeshaya, whoever mourns Yerushalayim is going to be privileged to see the rebuilding of Yerushalayim.
Correct.
For a long time, I thought this was something skuli, something like you mourn, you get the reward. Almost as a parent tells the child, you clean your room, you'll get some type of present. Recently, I've realized that it's much deeper than that. A parent tells the child, you clean your room, you will have a clean room. And that in itself is the reward. You spend the 10 minutes, half hour, the 20 minutes cleaning your room, you will have a clean room.
You don't need something external.
If you will mourn Yerushalayim, you will be connected to Yerushalayim. And if you're connected to Yerushalayim, you will see Yerushalayim rebuilt. The more someone is connected, and if we look at it as a nation, it's so true. The more our nation mourned Yerushalayim, the more we were connected to Yerushalayim, the more we cared about Yerushalayim, the more we cried for Yerushalayim on Tisha B'av,
the more we have it.
The more we have it. And the more we are connected, and the more we're going to see it rebuilt.
Right.
We are seeing Yerushalayim rebuilt due to the thousands of tears, millions of tears that Jews have shed throughout the years. We are privileged to sit here in an apartment in Yerushalayim and watch Yerushalayim be rebuilt. And that comes out to my first point. We now have to get to the next level, the level of the bais hamikdash. That's the part that needs mourning, the part that there's no Churban, the part that no bais hamikdash, the part that Yerushalayim doesn't have its soul yet, doesn't have its neshama. And the more we mourn it, the more we want it, the more we care about it, the more we're going to have it. And the more you care about it, the more you're going to be privileged to see Yerushalayim fully rebuilt.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So we should be zocha. And just to sum up, like Shlomo Meir mentioned, there's a lot of wonderful tour guides out there, but these are things all of us can do by ourselves. It doesn't cost any money. You can walk through Shar Shechem. You can walk to Shar HaKutzna, the Cotton Gate. It's perfectly safe. There's policemen there. You can see Har HaBayis, you can take a cab or a bus up to Har HaZeisim. These are all accessible places, and you can really be nisponen and really appreciate and reflect on the Churban that we see today on Har HaBayis.
And that reflection isn't crying over spilled milk. Someone's asked me, do we warn the first or second base hamikdash? What's the answer?
Both.
I think the answer is the third.
Ah.
We are mourning the third. We're not mourning what we had, we're mourning what we don't have. And the more we care, and the more we see it, and the more we connect, the more we should be zocheh to have it. And that's the idea that the Navi Zechariah tells us. That these days will turn into Yom Tovim.
Correct.
The days that we mourned, the days that gave the connection, that's going to turn into the Yom Tov. And Tisha B'av will turn into the Yom Tov. The Yom Tov, no more mourning, but now seeing and celebrating Yerushalaim.
Beautiful. Bezrat HaShem. We'll be back for more on Eretz Chemdah.
Thank you.